Welcome to episode 15 of the Rebel Rundown. Today we're going to be exploring some common fitness myths. I'm Ben and this is Hayley, and we're just going to kick off with a bit of a monthly update.
Yeah, I don't really know what we've done this month. What have we done?
Well, there hasn't been heaps throughout April so far. We're probably shooting this a fraction earlier than normal, but we've obviously come off a big March with the CrossFit Open and a bunch of stuff going on. So this month, some of the things that we have had happen is we've had the Hang Challenge kick off, which we've had several people have a go at, which is awesome. We're looking forward to a bunch more people having a go. I think there's some people who are a little bit shy to give it a shot, but at the end of the day, you might surprise yourself, and it really is just about having a go.
Except if you wanted to get on that little leaderboard, you'll probably miss your chance because I reckon the winner who's going to win the overall thing has already done it.
Well, possibly. We just don't know. There is a very good score being registered though, which was by Karen Pratt, and she did 4 minutes and 24 seconds.
She's the dead hang queen. She's done a really long one before because she does PTs with Andy, and I know that they have tested it before. I don't remember what it was then, but yeah, that's pretty long. She did that yesterday morning, so.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, I definitely wouldn't get that.
No
I'd be happy to get 3 minutes.
I still need to try. I don't even know how long I'd get. I don't reckon I'd get 2 minutes.
Don't know. It's hard to know.
It's
one of these things, guys. You got to give it a shot. You got to try.
There's lots of people waiting till like the last. Everyone's like, I'm going to do it on the very last day, which.
Do it before then.
Yeah, I'm going to start bullying people into doing it next week. But yeah, lots of people have given it a go, which is good. And it's always good to see everyone just like, well, the people who have being like, yeah, I'll go. Because you may as well. Like, I don't know what people are waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. Give it a shot.
We started planning, or I have, the next month's challenge too. So I think this will be a pretty exciting thing to continue to do all year and always have something to sort of talk about. So we won't tell you what it is yet.
The next one's going to be more painful. That's all I can tell you.
So take advantage of the dead hang while you have it. It might be shorter next month, but...
Yeah. And next month is going to suit a different type of person to this month.
You can guess. From the clues that we've just said, I want everyone to guess what they think it might be. So you can either comment on this YouTube video, or I might put a question box up on Instagram and you can guess what you think it might be.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
To watch anyway.
But yeah, shout out to Karen. She smashed that. And then I think we've had like a fair few kids doing it too, because obviously like hanging from the pull-up bar is pretty easy for kids to do. So that's pretty fun. Like there's a fair few kids on the leaderboard, more kids than members really.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one is that we're about a month in now to following proven affiliate programming, which for the most part we've had really overriding positive feedback. There's been some similarities, there's been some differences, but I'm definitely like chatting to people in the gym about it, asking their opinion, saying don't be shy, like if you didn't like something, let me know. We've definitely tried some different formats on certain things that we haven't done before, and sometimes that's definitely surprised me where I'm like, oh, people aren't going to like this, and then chatting to people, they're like, no, it was really good. So yeah, also chatting to the coaches, getting their feedback, like how is it running it when they're doing it, how are they finding it. So yeah, we always plan to do at least another month sort of really trying it out, and at this stage it looks like we're going to continue for a while.
Yeah, I think it's been good. Most people have been enjoying it, and it's just nice having something new. Like even though they're all just workouts, like we would program workouts, proven programs workouts, like they're all just workouts, but it's nice to see some new structures, and just you get stuck in your ways, and it's good to open your eyes a little bit when someone else is programming. So
yeah, we also had our pull-up workshop this month, which went really, really well. Again, lots of great feedback. I really enjoyed running it, and it definitely reminded me that like we want to try and make doing those more regular. It's kind of tricky at the start of the year because we've got like a lot going on. There's a lot of public holidays, and then we have the CrossFit Open, but we are going to run a rings workshop in May as well, fairly early mid-May.
Yeah, I just
Can't remember the
put on
exact
thing.
date, but that is coming up, and it's going to be something that like all levels can still come to. We will spend some time on, like, say, the strict ring muscle up, but there'll be a bunch of other skills and drills and things that we do on the rings as well. So that's coming up.
I think it's the 5th of May,
Yeah,
Monday the
sounds
5th.
early.
So it'll be at 6:40 p.m.
Yep.
again. I think we'll stick to that time for a little bit, and then who knows, maybe later in the year we might go back to a Sunday for a workshop, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Bay for a day comp's coming up. Got
Yep.
quite a few people jumping in on that, which is going to be
Will do.
cool.
I need to email and fix my team up.
Yep.
That should be good.
And-
If anyone's wanting to like go watch a local comp too, Bay for a Day is a good one to pencil in your diary. I think it's on May 18, potentially, if that's a Saturday. And yeah, I think we should have about 5 pairs competing, but CrossFit Knox, they put on like such a good, or Knoxfield, they put on such a good comp every year, and it's like massive. So if you're thinking about competing and you kind of want to just go suss a comp, like go watch Bay for a Day.
Yeah. It's going to be cool. And then Torian Pro is coming up at the end of the month, which heaps of people from the gym are attending, and it's going to be all live streamed, and
Yeah, we might.
we'll give more info out a little
Yeah.
bit closer as well.
Yeah. So that's coming up quickly though. So
It does. Everything seems to come up really quick.
yeah.
Cool. So moving on now, we're going to get into some of these common training fitness myths that can come up, and see if we can try and debunk some of them,
I feel like it's going to be
or
kind of
bust
easy.
them. We're going to bust some
What does it
myths.
say today? We're cutting through the bullshit.
Yeah.
You forgot that line.
Oh yeah. I was waiting for you.
Oh.
That was
Well,
your
there you
line.
go. Today we're going to cut through the bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. First one. You need to be sore to know you had a good workout. This is one that I probably hear more from like new members, that they'll be like, oh, I don't know if training's working anymore. I'm not sore. Because when they first start training, they're like agonizing pain because they haven't trained for a while. And then once their body starts to adapt, they think that they're not training hard enough, or they're not getting anything out of it anymore because they're not sore. So it's definitely not the case.
It's definitely not. Like, the goal isn't to be so sore that lifting your arms above your head, sitting down to a toilet, going up and down stairs every time you train is, at its peak.
That's also like impossible because your body does adapt. Like,
well, unless you train like once
once
a
a
week and you
month.
go as hard as you possibly can, or you're coming in on a day where there's a lot of volume.
Yeah.
But like, generally speaking, for the average person, what their goals are in the gym is that you should be training, those 3 to 4 days a week. For the most part, we want the training to feel like it energizes you, rather than like grinds you into the ground every day. And some soreness is good from time to time. The other thing is that if you are getting really sore all the time, it's kind of a sign that you're not recovering properly.
Yeah.
And that could be a whole host of things that contribute to it. Sleep, nutrition are the first two that we're really going to go to. But just general stress in life, if you have a really active job or lifestyle, and then you're coming in, you're pushing yourself really, really hard in the gym as well, day in, day out, then, that can be something that needs to be considered. But definitely not. You don't need to be sore every single time. So
I couldn't even imagine like being sore all the time. Like I get sore every now and again, but I wouldn't say I have like DOMs like every day.
yeah. Times where it's especially acceptable is if there's a movement that comes up that you haven't done for a while.
Yeah.
Things like push-ups, for example. I mean, we do them fairly consistently, but depending on the days you come
And
in.
it's similar to like lunges. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people will get sore from lunges, but I don't really find that I get sore from lunges anymore because I probably do them once a week. Whereas like other people, they might do them once every 2 weeks or once a month or something like that. And then you're going to get sore because you're not often loading your glute, like a single leg glute, or your body weight or added body weight on that glute all the time. Like you do squats, it's loading slightly differently. Same with GHDs. That's a big one that, people, and like this isn't really the myth, but like you need to do those often, otherwise you're always going to get sore. Like if you do GHDs once a month, you're going to be like super sore every time you do them. If you do them once a week, you'll get to a point like I do 150 GHDs in a session and not be sore from it.
And like certain movements too, like we take the GHG, for example, there's this long kind of controlled eccentric loading to it. So anytime there's a movement where the eccentric loading of it is fairly significant, it's always going to create a little bit more soreness. Things like lunges and push-ups too, we tend to do those in fairly moderate to high volumes because of the movement pattern that it is. So, you know, certain things are definitely going to lend themselves more to creating that. And then the other one too is like, if you are experiencing that, hey, what's your training frequency? Because if your training frequency is too low, you're going to get sorer because your body's not accustomed to, you know, these stimulus. It's not adapting as regularly. And so it's a bit of a shock to the system every time you do something with a bit of intensity or volume because it's just not quite getting used to it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're not sore, it doesn't mean you didn't have a good session. Like, I think that's just
myth busted.
Yeah. Stomp on that. All right, anything else on that one, or we?
No, I think we're good. I think we've covered it.
Okay, you can.
All right, number 2 is that lifting weights makes you bulky.
Yeah, only if you've like.
Guys like that for the most part. Girls are like, ooh.
Yeah, it's bulky. Definitely not the case though, unless you're gonna eat like you're gonna eat like exactly how you want to eat to get bulky.
Yeah,
I feel like it's more in the food.
First of all, like adding muscle is a good thing. Like most people here, like most people want to look a bit better for sure, or a lot better, whatever. Most people want that to a degree, and that's completely fine. But also every single person, and you can probably back this up, you speak to more of like our initial consults than I do, but like every single one of them is like general health, longevity, you know, one of those two things at least to a degree. And if you want to be healthy and live a good long life of being able to be able and active and minimize your risks of, you know, ending up in a wheelchair or a walker or having osteoporosis or anything like that, having muscle is one of the best things that you can possibly do. Because as we age, it will deteriorate, and there's a point where it gets much harder to build it as we get older. And if you can sustain a good level of muscle mass into your 50s, into your 60s, it's going to do you a world of good in terms of your physical health not deteriorating.
Yeah, and even if you have good muscle mass though, you're not necessarily going to be bulky. Like I think like it matters about your body fat percentage. So if you have a low body fat percentage, you're going to look more bulky. If you got a like higher body fat percentage and you've still got lots of muscle, but you might be carrying more body fat, you're not going to be that bulky.
And that's the thing, the average person too, right?
Yeah.
If you add, let's say, 2 kilos of muscle, the average person can stand to lose much more than 2 kilos of body fat to be in a healthy place, right? Well, just to give you guys a rough idea, a kilo of muscle mass is roughly represented by my fist. A kilo of body fat is about 2 fists in volume.
Yeah.
So if you are getting leaner, which again, if you're training regularly and you're eating well, you add a little bit of muscle and you lose some fat, you are not getting bulkier.
Well, you might be, but you're probably getting a little like...
Well...
It's like a 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, it's kind of this thing. I think a lot of the time it's people's perception. It's just a perception thing, and if you've got a little bit more volume in your muscle tissues, I think people, like especially women, they kind of pick up on that really quick, and they think that they look a certain way. But I know pretty confidently that oftentimes it's more of a perception-based thing.
Yeah.
And I think too, like being, you know, if you're educated around the topic, it's like don't put everything about like just how you look, because if you're thinking more about your health and performance, you can view this stuff as a positive thing anyway.
And yeah, it's like, it kind of goes the other way too. Like if people do want to look bulky, like say you want to get absolutely jacked, you can't just come in here and just like lift weights every day. Like you've got to actually, like there's so much more to all of it. It's like with the body fat to muscle mass ratio. Like if you want to get jacked, you need to look at, obviously training is one thing, but what you're eating is the other thing. So like if you look at a bodybuilder, they go through these massive long, like it takes a lot of effort for people to look like that. They go through these massive long cycles of like building, they bulk, they put on a bunch of weight to build muscle, and then they just like strip themselves back, lose all like tons of body fat to look like that. Like it's not, they just don't naturally.
No, you have to eat a lot. You have to eat. And it takes time. Muscle tissue just does not build that quickly. Like if you can build 3-4 kilos of muscle in a year, you're doing a fantastic job. That is not easy. Yeah. And there's a point for most people where it's only sustainable, to a degree, because if you kept trying to add 3-4 kilos of muscle every year, after a year or two, that would get incredibly hard. Yeah.
And lifting weights, it's just good for you. So you should just do it anyway, even if it makes you bulky or not. Who cares if you look bulky?
Yeah.
I don't know why people like.
Yeah,
I feel like that's such an old like an out of date thing that like you'd go to. I always hear like people will go to their mum's house and their mum will be like, oh, look at those arms because they're muscly. Like that is so just. Don't they know that being jacked is cool?
That's it. It's quote of the day right there.
That being jacked is cool. Damn right.
It's also good for your health. But yeah, look again. My big takeaway for where you would hear that more often than not, and I don't think it's a big thing in our gym, by the way, but I honestly think it's more of a perception thing than anything.
I feel like it's definitely nobody says that in here. Like I don't think anyone really. And then once they come into the gym and they see like strong girls and like they see Tessa and she's like absolutely jacked and like they want to be like that. Like they might come in thinking that they don't want to get bulky, but then they see like what these really strong girls can do and they're like, all right, I want to get stronger. Like I'm going to eat to get stronger.
And if you want to be lean, having muscle helps get lean. It helps you appear leaner too. So.
Well, imagine if you didn't have any muscle and you'd just be extra skinny.
Cool. That's right. Ready?
What's the
Myth
line?
busted.
Oh no, being jacked is cool.
Being jacked is cool.
Okay, next one. Cardio kills your gains. I don't know, is this a myth? I kind of feel like it's
This one definitely comes from like the bodybuilding fraternity.
Yeah.
So this is in relation to like if you're trying to build a lot of muscle, that doing cardio makes it really hard to build muscle. That's where that's kind of come from. And look, there's probably, to a degree, it's probably again more on this is like the flip side, right? This is like if we've got guys who are training in the gym and they're wanting to like put on some muscle, which is again really normal. If you ever are concerned that coming into like a Thursday session where it's more endurance focused and cardio focused, that it's going to have a negative impact on your ability to build muscle, that is wrong. So if all you do is cardio and you never do any resistance training, you're not going to build muscle. But if you're doing regular resistance training 3 to 4 times a week, is kind of what you need to really, be in a good muscle building zone. Doing, a little bit of cardio every day or having one longer cardio session in the week, for example, it is not going to significantly impact.
Yeah.
That.
I think it really depends on what you're like. So say you were like trying to build muscle, but then you're also training for a marathon and you're running like over 50 Ks a week, like doing multiple long runs where you're like constantly tiring out your body, you're burning all these calories. You might not be eating enough to sustain that. And then you're like, why aren't I building muscle? Like maybe that, that situation might be killing your gains. But, if you're doing CrossFit workouts, which are majority like,
well, they're balanced.
Yeah,
right?
they're balanced. Like you're doing strength exercises within the workouts. You're working different systems. So you might be working your anaerobic system. You might be doing your aerobic system in a way too. Like that's not killing your gains.
No.
And like
show me a
CrossFit
CrossFit Games athlete who isn't jacked.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't exist, and they all do huge amounts of cardio.
Yeah.
They're also just doing lots of resistance training and they're eating heaps.
Yeah. I think you've got to this is one thing that, cardio kills your gains, but you've got to figure out what your actual goals are. And I think you've got to think about what you can do all at the same time. So as I said, it might be really hard to build muscle whilst or like trying to PR your back squat whilst also simultaneously training for a marathon. But say once you finish training for a marathon, you could run like once or twice a week and then focus on your back squat, and then that would be more appropriate.
Yeah. Again, there's always like individual things that would need to be considered and getting that balance right for certain people. But yeah, unless you're on one of those extreme ends of the spectrum, which Hayley's talking about, for most of what we do in the gym, people coming, it's just not going to be the case. Like, there's just not the volume and frequency of doing pure long cardio to no strength ratio that's going to have that impact.
Cardio is really good for you too. So, like, I don't know how people don't do cardio. Like, sometimes I walk upstairs and I get out of breath. Imagine if someone never did cardio.
Are you holding your breath?
I don't know. Sometimes. Or maybe it's usually on a Sunday at the end of the week. But sometimes, does that not happen to you when you're like, oh, I'm a bit out of breath doing that? Like, imagine not being fit.
I don't have enough stairs in my house to elicit that response, but like...
I don't have any stairs in my house. Well, I walk up my 3 stairs at the front door. That's how unfit I am.
No, but like definitely like, you know, if you're going for a walk or something, you hit a decent hill and you're like, whew.
Actually, usually I feel like I get out of breath when I'm talking and walking.
So imagine if you did no training and you were really overweight.
Oh my God.
That hill would kill you.
I think the majority of all, like the point of all these is that there's not actually one right answer. Like, all these myths are like trying to saying like it's all or nothing, like it's this or that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, it's all different for everyone.
Yeah. Hey guys, like Tessa does cardio too. This is an example. Every Thursday I make her do CrossFit training, and she's been putting on weight and getting stronger. So it's a load of shit. Myth busted.
She does so much cardio,
and she loves it too.
Oh yeah.
Loves it.
Does she have a WOD today?
Yeah,
what
she
is
does. It's like 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off for 4 rounds. Sled pull, sled push, sandbag carry.
Oh God.
Toe to bar, max step overs with a rucksack on in the remaining time, something like that. But I don't know if I might be taking it a bit easier on her today.
That's too hard for her. Full work to rest ratio.
Nah, she's got a big training session tomorrow. So,
still.
Yeah. But anyway, myth busted.
All right. Ready? Next one. You can read it.
All right. If you're not RXing, you're not progressing.
I hate, to be honest, I kind of hate the RX thing. Like, for class.
Yeah, it's silly.
I think
silly.
it's
for everyone.
Yeah, fair. No, well, I think that it's like, you know, if you're doing a competitor's program, you do the workout as written, right? Like, or if you're at a competition, obviously you do the workout as written. Like, everyone's got to be doing the same thing. You're testing each other against that same, like, everyone has to be doing the same weight on the barbell because you're testing yourself to that. But like, when you're in class, like, what do you get out of doing RX when you're just not getting the workout stimulus out of the workout? Like, literally nothing.
Yeah, 100%. That's the point, is that, you know, if you've ever felt like you need to be getting to the RX level, and I mean, at the minute, like, our levels, what we actually post day to day, like, they vary. And then we also have a variety of levels that are options for members. And I've said from the start from that, it's like, no one is just like one level. And I certainly, like, this is exactly how I train. Like, especially at the minute, like, Hayley's doing a version of a workout, and especially with the weights, I'm almost always doing what's called like level 2. I could do the heavier ones, but they're just gonna beat me up, grind me down. I'm not gonna get the workout stimulus. And if you get stuck training in that sort of state, you are not gonna move forwards. Training needs to be at a level that's achievable but challenging. You know, if it's just always at this level that's kind of beyond where you're at, risk of injury, risk of feeling neurologically taxed, you know, stiff, sore joints, not recovering properly, like that kind of stuff is just going to happen. And yeah, you're going to feel flat. So,
and I think that it's like, you know, it's all a progression. Like, if you were to just like try and RX a workout every single day, like this thing, if you're not RXing, you're not progressing. I'm pretty sure if you, like, unless you're already there. Like if you are RXing every day, you're probably not progressing. Like if you are RXing, because like if your skills and your strength isn't up to where it needs to be to actually RX the workouts, like you're not actually going to progress at all. You'll probably get time capped. You'll just be miserable. You'll be failing reps. Like I think there's like, you know, that doesn't mean you can't never, like you can never RX, but you've got to, like, I don't know, you've got to work your skills outside the workout before you do it in the workout. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just feel like a lot of the time if you're doing something that's not getting the workout stimulus just for the sake of RXing, like that's not, like...
Yeah, and I mean, look, we don't get much of that in the gym because all of our coaches are very aware of what we're trying to achieve, and you know, this is why we put things like athlete notes into SugarWOD so that people can read like what we're trying to achieve. We have like time caps and time domains, frames that we're trying to achieve within workouts. So again, like it's more about consistency, quality, and doing that for a long time. That's where you're going to get results. Yeah, you got to challenge yourself every now and then, go a little bit outside of your comfort zone. But if you're stuck outside your comfort zone every time,
and
you're
there'll
asking for trouble.
always be like certain workouts, and the coaches will be there to guide you when it is that time that you can, you know, challenge yourself that little bit more and potentially like get stuck on something or do something that's you're going to have to move a little bit slower or rest a little bit longer. But you know, there's a time and place. Like if it's a short, sharp workout that's intended to be short and sharp, that's probably not the time or place to do something that's going to like slow you right down, because yeah, you're not actually getting that workout stimulus out of it. So yeah, I don't know.
I think a lot of the time it's like a bit of an ego thing for people, you know, and you definitely don't want to get caught there. And even like, to be honest, this is an ego thing for you, but there's times where, you know, I'll be watching Hayley train and I can just see like, you know, she's a bit tired or a bit fatigued, and the workout is written a certain way, and you always like want to do,
yeah, but that's
tick your stuff as it is. And even at that level, there are times where it's like, hey, peeling back slightly here, changing it slightly here might actually be more beneficial.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what level you're at. This stuff is 100% applicable no matter what.
And I think like for me, I find that I'm more resistant to doing like when there's heavy weights and stuff. Depends on the workout, but like a lot of the time if something feels challenging, I'm more resistant to changing it, because I know that potentially at like, for example, right now for like prepping for Torian, potentially at Torian that might come up. So I'm specifically prepping for a comp, like, and I need exposure to those things. So like sometimes, like for example, the other day there was, which I was just being a little bit of a bitch anyway, but like there was the heavy dumbbell and like it just didn't feel right, and Ben was like, oh, go lighter, but I was like, no, like I know I can do that, because you know, if I go lighter now, there might be a heavier dumbbell at Torian that then I don't have exposure to. So I think that there's like a little bit of like, it's different in different situations, but just for the everyday gym goer, if you're not necessarily prepping for a competition and you're actually just trying to get better, get stronger, move well, get fitter, like you don't necessarily need to do that. That makes sense.
Myth busted.
Yeah, myth busted. I feel like we're just going in circles in this. I don't know what this. Let us know if this is a good podcast or not. All right, last one. You can out-train a bad diet. Wishful thinking. Haha.
Yeah, look, it's something that I guess if you took the average person and the way they're eating and they never did any training and they started to train 3, 4, 5 days a week, they can see improvement, you know, in their health markers, their energy levels. They might get improvement in their body composition. But if they don't at some point start to work on improving their nutrition, because it's just kind of average or below average where it should be, their progress is definitely going to stop. And just piling more training on top of that is not going to magically create, you know, vaster, better improvements. So yeah, when we talk about people who are active and training frequently, if you're eating really, really poorly, you can't just magically bypass that by adding in extra sessions. you know, if you've got someone like, you know, training at a really high level, training at the kind of volumes and frequency Hayley trains at, to get enough fuel in to be recovered and have energy for every session, it's really quite challenging to do that purely through really clean whole foods. And so sometimes what you'll see with elite athletes is they're actually eating, you know, not always like super healthy food that can be highly processed and different things. But for them, you know, their body composition, their level of activity, it sometimes becomes a bit of a necessity because it's so challenging otherwise to get the required kind of like calories and nutrients in. So
but I wouldn't necessarily say that, like, I think that, like, yeah, that makes sense. But like, for example, I wouldn't say that I have a bad diet. Like, I think that it's like a spectrum of like, what's a good diet for you and what's a good diet for someone else. For me, like, a good diet is eating what I eat. Like, I eat random like LCM bars and like processed food every now and again. To be honest, I don't have that much processed stuff in my diet. It's mostly snacks. But like for someone else, I think it can go both ways. And I've been talking to a lot of members about this recently too, where they're on the complete other end of the spectrum, where they're not necessarily trying to, like in this scenario, like I feel like most people think about weight loss first. But like a lot of people in the gym at the moment are trying to progress. They're trying to get stronger. They're trying to put on muscle. They're like, I'm not lean enough. Like, why have I stayed the same weight, but I've lost muscle? Like, why have I put on body fat? Probably because their bad diet is not they're not eating enough. Like, they're not eating correctly. Yeah. They're not eating, they think that by like restricting food, they're like having a good diet, but like you've got to think about your goals, and you can't just come in here. It's like the same thing with if you lift weights, you get bulky. Like if you want to put on muscle, you actually have to like eat a fair amount. Yeah. So it's the same thing. You can't come in here and train and then just expect to be bulky.
Yeah, like what Hayley's saying is really true, and it's kind of what it is that to eat well, it feels like, you know, the average person, and let's see, that's the example she's basically giving. You're training 3 or 4 times a week. The average person, most people have like a desk job and aren't super active outside of coming into the gym. That average person's caloric need to sustain their body mass isn't super high. So if they want to get leaner, lose some body fat, they got to restrict that eating slightly. But where people go wrong is that they think they're eating 3 normal meals from Whole Foods a day is a lot of food. And so they might cut that back to like 2 or 1 main meal. But then what they do on the flip side is they then go and like get all these crap calories in from super dense, highly processed foods, which they somehow trick themselves into believing isn't as much food
as it is,
as if you're eating just 3 proper normal meals a day. And so they do end up getting the calories in to put on body fat, which is a surplus. The problem is that they're not eating a shitload of food. They're just eating some things that are super calorie dense, full of crappy calories and not a lot of micronutrients that are going to help them feel and perform well. So when people actually go to getting their majority of their calories through good quality whole foods, they feel like they're eating a lot. Yeah. And, you know, they mentally trick themselves into thinking that, oh, it's a lot for me to eat. I'm not used to eating this much food, that they're going to get put on weight. But it's just not the case. No. It's just something that people need to get used to and need to get used to, like actually eating good quality whole foods. And like, I brought up the example of like elite athletes sometimes using these higher calorie dense options to help fulfill their calorie needs. But like Hayley eats, like she'll eat at least three sort of like meals in a day that are predominantly just good quality whole foods.
Probably like 5.
Yeah. You have like sort of like a double brekkie type scenario.
I do like, and then my meal after training, like in the afternoon, is like, I'm not eating crap. Like I always have a smoothie and then like saladas or like something. Like the other day I had like homemade Vegemite scrolls, like something, you know, I'd call that another meal. It's kind of like my second breakfast.
You're eating, like eating Well, I guess like if you're counting like, you know, your lunch, you generally eat like 2 wraps, your dinner, which varies, normal sort of dinners. And like is your first brekkie before you train, or is it it's like
so
a
at home,
small meal?
No, it's like the same.
Yeah.
I have like a bagel and yogurt.
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes I swap
It's not
it.
a big meal, but it's like you
Yeah.
sort of break your brekkie into
Yeah, the
two
brekkie's like,
small to
so I
moderate meals.
could just
Yeah.
like eat all of that at once, like if I
Yeah.
wanted. But I basically have like, toast and yogurt before training and then oats after. Or if I'm training like later in the day, I'll have my oats earlier and then the like sandwich and yogurt and then train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then the snacks, like the processed stuff is just during training really.
yeah.
Or
It's
like
qu-
when
it's
I'm
stuff
coaching.
that's like quickly absorbed into the system so that she's got energy to either like replenish or to fuel for her workouts, which, you know, again, in a unique situation, like training twice a day, 4 days a week,
Yeah,
and
and then
once
just once.
on Saturdays, and then
Yeah.
often like a lower
bit on
intensity
Thursday.
cardio on Thursday. So technically, 6 days a week, 4 of those are double days. She's training for a couple of hours, sometimes more at a time, and she's doing a lot of work in that time. So the fuel requirements for someone doing that drastically different to someone who's training 3 days a week for an hour and not super
Also,
active outside
with
of that.
you can't out-train a bad diet thing too. If you actually do have a bad diet, like you eat a bunch of crap, one, training isn't going to just solve, like just, you can't just, like I would never eat like that anyway, but say you eat like Uber Eats every night, like you have takeaway and yada, 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 like that's all very high calorie food, so it's going to be really hard to out-train that in regards to like the whole weight loss like idea of things. But then also like you're going to feel crap while you're training. Like
Yeah.
those sort of foods that are like super high in salt, like they're high in oils, they're just like you don't even know what's in them. I was actually thinking about that the other day because I was watching a TikTok. I feel like it might have been today. I was watching a TikTok and someone was like, they were having Indian food for dinner, right? I don't know. If you watch TikTok, you'd understand. This person was just like, she's doing her dinner and she was having Indian food. And I was like, surely that would be healthy. Like curry's healthy. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, I actually have no idea what would be in that curry. Like you don't know what's in there. And it's probably like super high in calories, even though you could make a curry at home that could be low in calories because you're controlling what you put in it. You're not putting in just a bunch of random oils and random stuff in there. So anyway, all those foods, they're not full of things that are going to give you energy. So you're not going to be able to train that well because you're going to feel like crap. Right? Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I mean, you can
Does that make
definitely
sense?
have curries that are going to be, you know, very good for you to eat and lots of good
But
stuff
not
in there.
always from like, if you get them from takeaway.
I think where people go wrong is that like, you know, if you're eating it out all the time, there's definitely like, there's more likelihood of there being like low quality oils in there and stuff like that. But it's also the quantities that people are eating. So like generally when people cook a meal at home, they'll often eat like a more normal portion to say if they're like eating food out or getting food delivered, they'll often eat like the whole thing and it's probably a greater quantity of food as well.
Other time when I go out, I'm like, this isn't enough.
Yeah.
Why does this place have
Yeah.
such small serves?
Yeah. Like I can tell you for sure, if I buy a pizza from a shop
It's
versus
way
I
bigger.
make my own, we're talking chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
As to what
Or
is
if
in
you
there.
were to make, I guess a better example than curry, I mean, I don't know, I don't eat Indian food. I was just wondering, watching this TikTok, what was in it, because I literally would have no idea what was in that curry that she bought from the shop. But like, say you were to get Thai food and you were to like make, or you were to get, no, even that curry, like you'd get this massive thing of curry, you'd probably get this massive thing of rice. But if you made that at home, you'd probably have like a scoop of rice and like a scoop of curry. Whereas because you got that, you might eat it all.
Yeah, I think, that's sort of what I was saying,
Yeah.
is that a lot of times eating out and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's bigger
the
portions.
quantities and portions tend to be a little bit different. But
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah, definitely not the way to go is trying to out-train a bad diet.
Yeah.
As I said, you can get a good initial response if you are inactive and you start training and you're just eating like the average poor diet out there. But if you really want to see significant change and feel a lot better, start making improvements to your nutrition too.
Yeah, and we're going to do a nutrition challenge soon. I think July.
Yeah, I think July.
Or was it June?
I think July. Could start sometime in June or early July, but it's coming up.
Yeah.
We're working on it, and
it's going to be based around kind of what we're talking about, how like there's no right answer for everyone. Like it's going to be about educating you guys about what the different foods are, how to build a meal, how to build a meal for your goals, and how to build a whole day of eating for your goals. Because like we're not going to be counting calories and majority of you probably won't be. And it's going to be about
we'll do some education around like learning around what's in the foods that you're eating and what kind of like how you want to sort of target certain food groups and whatnot. But a lot of it's just going to be really practical stuff, like how to like plan everything out so that you can then go and do the shop, buy the right things, be prepared, because that's so much of what nutrition is about, is having basic knowledge and then having a plan and being prepared. And if you do that, it makes being consistent so much easier.
And sort of knowing what you can eat to actually make you feel good, like what you might be eating that's not making you feel good, and like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, making sure you're actually eating enough of the right things.
Because food is like, none of us would be alive if we weren't eating food. So it's true.
Really? No way.
Yeah. What's in there? Tell us about your smoothie.
My smoothie, it's I put about that much water in there, and then I put a whole banana. Not a cup of blueberries, that's probably an exaggeration, but maybe like half a cup of blueberries, a couple of big scoops of natural yogurt, creatine, and protein powder. This is unflavored today. It's not super.
Oh, really? And you got water.
I ran out of
with
chocolate.
Water.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, it's not very flavoursome, but
Can I smell it?
It's not going to smell like much.
It does. I don't know. That smells like
but
it would taste like pretty much
I'm
nothing.
quite fine eating it. Yeah, usually I get the chocolate flavoured one, and that one has a little bit of flavour. But I literally have this 5 days, sometimes 6 days a week. Usually it's my breakfast. This is kind of lunch today. Yeah, and then I'll eat like a protein muesli bar as well. But yeah.
Are we going to do this rapid
Myth
fire?
busted.
Myth busted. Eat
No,
more
I think
food,
we're good.
people.
I think we've covered it.
I don't really have any questions to ask anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, ready, go. CrossFit is dangerous. Bust my myth.
If you do it like a dickhead, yeah. Anything's dangerous. Driving cars dangerous. Like walking down the street can be dangerous.
True.
So everything potentially has risk, and a lot of the times, most of us are willing to take risks, like driving a car every day can be super risky, but we choose to take that risk anyway because we know most of the time it's safe. And if we don't drive a car, maybe we won't have a job.
Basketball is dangerous.
Life might be a lot trickier.
All physical
You know what?
activity
Sitting
is
on the couch is fucking dangerous.
Yeah. Eating pizza every night for dinner is dangerous.
Yeah.
Takeaway pizza. Unless you're making a pita bread pizza, then that is perfectly safe.
Yeah. So everything in life does carry risk, CrossFit included. We certainly try and take a lot of steps in terms of the quality of how we deliver it, how we structure it, how we plan classes, teach coaches, educate members to try and mitigate those risks. But there's always there's risk in everything. You know, like if you wanna be a long distance runner or just go and walk the track every day, my mum does a fair bit of walking, and she recently, like maybe a couple of months ago, slipped, fell, hit her head. We had to go into hospital and make sure she was all right, and she was just walking. So these things happen, and unfortunately it's not completely avoidable, but we certainly try and mitigate those risks in the gym and still maintain training at a level where you can progress. Because if you wanted to train in the safest possible way, don't expect to see much improvement, because you'll be doing everything very low intensity, low skill, low everything,
But you have to, but you
it's
can.
not going to be that beneficial either.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like all a natural progression. So a lot of people need to start like that and then build up over time. And that's how it's going to be safe, is you start and then you slowly start increasing your load, you increase your intensity, and that's how you see progression.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a myth for me? I didn't make mine up. I read off the sheet.
Nah, I think I'm all mythed out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it then.
Yeah.
Cool. Done.
We'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully
sure-
you got something out of today's episode.
Yeah. Make sure you guess what the next challenge is going to be.
Well, it's a goodie.
Before you actually might. Nah, hopefully this will go up before. You
Yeah,
have
this
to
will
be
be out
quick.
before.
Unless you've clicked on this link from the newsletter, you probably know. So
This will
that'd
be out
cheating.
before.
But yeah. All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.